Hello you guys, and welcome to Abundantly Minimal. My name is Sarah, and today we do have a little bit more of a serious topic. Is it possible for minimalists to get addicted to minimalism? This was actually a question sent in by Katie O. As a quick side note, I do always appreciate when you guys send me suggestions for video topics or have questions about things that you're struggling with. I've received a few others that are kind of backlogged that I'll be putting together a video about shortly, hopefully. But if you have questions or you're concerned about a certain topic within minimalism, I'm happy to help with a video. But Katie was wondering, if you get so fixated on the process of decluttering and trying to get rid of items, is it possible that your possessions kind of start to own you again? That they start to have more power in your life, just like they did before you were a minimalist and you had all this clutter? I think this topic really aligns closely with perfectionism and the idea that we're trying to simplify our lives in a way that is perfect, and maybe we have a certain outcome or aesthetic that we're looking for, what a perfect life would be. And I do think that it's very possible that people get kind of sucked into the idea of just trying to reduce until they really have very little left. There definitely are examples of extreme minimalism online, and maybe you are even familiar of a few examples where it seems like the person has such a tiny number of items, and it doesn't make it wrong or right. It depends on whatever's the best fit for that person. I know definitely I myself am not an extreme minimalist. Our apartment, I feel like, has a lot of the normal parts, just maybe less than your traditional, your standard American home or experience. It's definitely possible for someone to become addicted to minimalism, but I think if we remember a couple factors, it can prevent us from having, this negative obsession kind of with the decluttering process. If you are someone who feels like you're getting kind of addicted to minimalism and sort of the rush of decluttering, I do have a couple tips. First of all, focus on being very reasonable. Don't get rid of items just because you feel like you should. I know I've talked about this a lot with my closet, for instance. I personally have more clothes than would be the minimalist closet. I typically wear a smaller percentage of them, and there's definitely some items I could get rid of, but I'm not going to get rid of them just to get rid of them when I do wear them sometimes. To me, I'm still happy with what I have there, and I'm not going to just try to be this like perfect minimalist in that way just for the sake of doing that. So being reasonable about the items that you're getting rid of can help. I think acknowledging perfectionistic desires and trying to let go of those perfect ideals for what your space looks like. I think it's very easy for us to see these pictures on Instagram, Pinterest, wherever, and feel that they are perfect and want that level of perfection, or I'll be happy when I achieve this in my home. And it can be somewhat of a relentless push to try to get there. But we have to remember that perfection doesn't really truly exist. And especially in the case of different photographs, you can very easily stage a photograph and make something seem like something that's not very easily, without that being the truth. You can take a beautiful picture of an open space, but guess what? Is it always that open, or did they clear stuff aside specifically for the picture? Those are things to think about. In a more extreme case, maybe setting limits for yourself is beneficial. If you feel like you're trying to declutter too much or keep going too far, maybe you set a limit on the number of things you can declutter, and you're not allowed to cross that each week or month. And finally, my last tip, if someone feels like they're kind of addicted to the process of minimalism, I would suggest try to enjoy as the decluttering process tapers off. I think for me, and maybe many others can relate, the decluttering process can be enjoyable, but at the same time, I will be very happy when that process is nearly finished. I don't think it's something that ever stops completely, but compared to when I started to now, I'm decluttering much less, or actively decluttering much less. And it still sometimes takes up brain power and time and energy now. It definitely takes up less than before, but I I think the great thing is, as you start to, go further along on your journey, there's less work and less time that you're needing to commit to being able to have this minimalist space or this minimalist lifestyle. So I would say focus on enjoying that. The decluttering itself is not a means to an end. It's just kind of the process to get yourself more to that simplified living space that you want. And so trying to enjoy that as much as possible. If maybe you feel like you have extra time, you're like, now what? After you've done all this decluttering, maybe that's a chance where you invest in yourself more, think about your interests, the desires of skills you wanted to learn, but you've put off because you're so overwhelmed by your clutter. Venture out into those different areas. And I think you'll find that that can be very exciting and give you fulfillment that maybe you're craving by thinking, well, if I can just be more minimalist, or if I can just get rid of more stuff, then I'll be happy. So those would be my best tips if someone is struggling with the idea of trying to be, perfect with minimalism or getting kind of addicted to it. Hopefully this helps. Of course, if you're someone who feels like you are kind of struggling with this a little bit, I'd love to hear from you in the comments so we can talk a little bit about it. You can also feel free to keep sending those video suggestions this way. I will put a couple past videos here, and you can subscribe to the channel right here. We'll see you guys in the next video. Bye.